Hello, Ravens fans, and welcome to another season preview. I'm Aaron Schneider, Sports Information Director at Anderson University, and joining us for our men's basketball season preview is head coach Carter Collins. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
All right, so now looking at where Anderson men's basketball is, they're coming off back-to-back regular season titles, back-to-back conference tournament titles. In terms of in terms of your long-term vision of Anderson men's basketball, about how far along are they in comparison to where you wanted them to be?
Yeah, I think we're off to a good start this year. We've been practicing now 4 weeks, which is kind of in the middle of our 5th week here. Guys have been working really hard. We have more newcomers this year than what we had last year, so it's a little bit of a different mix of guys, different mix of personalities, which has been exciting and fun and interesting and kind of challenging to work through all of that. So I've been really happy. I think that our energy level and effort level has matched or at times exceeded what it's been the past couple of years. And I think that we're talented enough to be right up in that mix again, competing for championships all the way to the end of the season, and obviously that's what we're hoping for.
All right, and then okay, so and then you got another tough schedule as you did last year as well, but of course being looking at the bigger picture on not just at the conference level, but at the national tournament as well.
Yeah, certainly. We always try to make an effort to challenge ourselves with our non-conference schedule. Unfortunately for us, there's a good opportunity here in the Midwest region with a lot of really strong powerhouse type teams that we can get out and go play and aren't too terribly far away. So obviously we're starting off with Hope here this Friday. They're ranked at the top 25. We've got another top 25 matchup coming with Trine. And then you're talking, again, programs like DePaul, like North Central, like North Park. All the way out on down the line for their non-conference schedule, real traditional powers and teams that are not going to be easy to beat. And we'll certainly be tested before we hit the road for our conference season as well.
In terms of as you have a little bit of a change in roster between graduation, transfers coming out, transfers coming in, a lot of new freshmen. What's the kind of identity that you're looking to have this year in terms of in terms of the talented teams in the region? This is the thing that Anderson is going to be a lot better than most, if not all, teams.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think part of that answer is that we're still kind of developing that as the season goes.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly when I look at stylistically, I think it's really going to be very similar to how we played the last couple of years. Tempo-wise, we like to get up and down the court. We played at one of the fastest tempos in the country last year, and I plan to be the exact same thing again this season. If anything, I'd like to even increase a little bit if that's possible. We like to get up and down the court. You're going to see high-scoring games. Defensively, obviously, we've been unique the past couple of years in playing a different style of defense than what most teams are, and that'll be the same thing again this year. And so there's definitely stylistic things that are unique to us that you don't see in a ton of other programs, things that have worked well for us the past couple of years. And given the talent that we bring back and the type of players that we have on our team, I really think it makes sense for us to stick with what's been working well. And so I think stylistically it'll be very similar to the teams that you've seen from us the past couple of years.
All right, and then break down some of kind of your returners that you expect to make an impact for this year.
Yeah, certainly. So obviously we're headlined by Tate Avagno. Been a really, really good player for a long time now, and we got one final season with him in the program. And given the team accomplishments and personal accomplishments that he's racked up already, he's well on his way to being a top 10, probably top 5 best player in the history of the program. So very exciting. We're certainly looking forward to watching him throughout this last season. He's made big improvements again. Just from this season to last season, he always has a great off season, and this past off season was no different. So we're really excited to watch him kind of lead the way for us. But we got a lot of other returners as well, some who played minutes for us last year and some who didn't. And I think that we got a variety of guys that people don't really fully understand how talented these guys are. Guys that have been kind of chomping at the bit, waiting to make a name for themselves and kind of have an opportunity now to take on a bigger role from what they've had previously. And so I think that some of those guys, I'll almost kind of let them introduce themselves. I think first 2, 3, 4 games, those guys are going to start to make their names known and really kind of start to create their own path for themselves here at AU.
And then when you look at some of the incomers coming in for this year, a lot of freshmen coming in, a couple of transfers coming in. I mean, I definitely think from the seeing what I saw from the first couple games, it's definitely it's not a rebuilding, it's a reloading situation.
Yeah, certainly. We're really happy with the talent that we brought in. You hit the nail on the head. We brought in 2 transfers, both guys experienced college basketball players that have added a lot of talent to our locker room, but have also added kind of different perspective and different experiences, obviously coming from different programs. And so we really enjoyed having those 2 guys kind of added into the mix. And then also feel really good with the freshman class that we added in. We brought in 6 freshmen, and I think all 6 of those guys are going to have an opportunity to have really, really strong 4-year careers here at AU. And yeah, been really happy with all 8 of those newcomers. And like I said earlier, it's just a different mix of personalities and talents that compared to what we had the last couple of years. So it's been really interesting and exciting, and I'm really excited to watch these guys kind of mesh and gel throughout the season. And I feel good about where we are right now, November 6th. But we're hoping to increase December, January, and February, and hopefully we hit March and we're the best versions of ourselves at that time. So we're looking to keep improving.
All right, and then you opened the season against Hope. That was also your opponent in the NCAA tournament last year. What are your expectations for the Hope game on Friday?
Yeah, it'll be a good game. Hope is ranked in the top 25. It'll be a very well-attended game. Hope's well known to have had the highest, attendance mark in Division III basketball for many years in a row now. This game was actually scheduled long before we got matched up against them in the NCAA tournament, so we kind of knew that this was coming already, and then it just happenstance we played them in the tournament as well. They lost some key players. We lost some key players. They brought in some big newcomers. We brought in some big newcomers. So it'll be a rematch, quote unquote, but really not so much. I would say that game was 8 months ago, and different rosters, different circumstances, different situation. But one thing we know for sure is that it'll be a really good test to test ourselves against one of the better teams in the Midwest and kind of see where we stack up early on.
And then finally, basketball's a season that kind of has its phase. It's got its non-conference. The conference almost kind of has 2 portions with the double round robin. You kind of there's kind of a stamina thing that comes at the end, and then there's all the postseason. So when you look at the phases of a basketball season, what does Anderson need to do to be successful during the phases throughout the year?
Yeah, I think what you said is important, is that it's a long season and there's a lot of different, like you said, phases. We play 25 regular season games, and when we compete for a conference regular season championship, which in my opinion is the most important thing we compete for every year, that's an 18-game slate, right? And so it's really important that you enter those 18 games with a lot of depth within your team. You want as many good players as you possibly can have, because we know that realistically there's probably going to be injuries, right? We don't know who and we don't know for how long, but we're not going to get through a whole 25-game regular season without any injuries, right? So we need to have depth. We need to have guys that are ready to step into new roles when the opportunity comes, and I think that we have that. I think that that's been a strength of ours the last couple of years. Is we have had depth, and I felt like we're one of the deeper teams in the conference, and I think that's going to be the case again this year. I really like from top to bottom, 1 through 16, all the guys that we have on our roster. And so that's kind of the most important thing is as we try to navigate our way through a really long season, 5-month long season, we're going to need contributions from almost everybody, and I think we're in a good position to have that.
All right, well, I think I've covered the questions I wanted to. Ravens fans, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow along with any more previews, any more content we may put out on YouTube. Of course, follow along with your Ravens this year. They open this Friday night at Hope. Coach Collins, thank you for joining us, and good luck this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.